Now comes a very difficult scale, the D flat major scale. We have the same little finger cross that we had in the A flat scale. D flat followed by left E flat, followed by left forked F. Notice the term left forked F, meaning the left E flat key is down. Practice this finger pattern many times. D flat, left E flat, left forked F. And down as well. Left forked F, left E flat, D flat. If you have a professional oboe, like one of the advanced Yamahas or a Loré, for example, your oboe is set up that you can begin the scale with both little fingers already down and then only lift the right one. When that happens, the mechanism automatically compensates from the D flat to the E flat. That's really convenient. That also means that when you end the scale, you can play left forked F, E flat, hold the left E flat key down, and press the D flat key. The mechanism crosses over automatically. Now let's look at the chromatic scale requirement. It is a 2-octave scale. It must be tongued on the way up and slurred on the way down. The most awkward part are the first couple of notes. You'll have low C and then followed immediately by C sharp. You're going to put the little finger of the right hand on the C key, but not the tip of the finger, maybe halfway down the finger, and then roll the finger onto the C sharp key. When you play C sharp following C, it's okay to press both of those keys. Try it yourself. When you press the low C sharp key, the C key goes down with it. So it's okay to roll onto the C sharp key. Then when you finish the scale, you reverse this. You put your little finger on both the C sharp key and the C key. And then you'll play D flat, lift the tip of the finger, and you'll have the low C. Now that we've reviewed the scales, I'd like to start working with you on how to practice the scales. The first step is to play the first note of the scale as a long tone. Practice this with a metronome. Keeping in mind the minimum tempo is 120. So I'm going to turn on a metronome to 120. And the first step is to play each scale first note only, to get used to blowing air constantly and to think of your face being still. So with the face and the air, we're playing a long tone. It will sound something like this. Notice, I also include the low C at the end for the chromatic scale. It's important that you get used to starting the scale with as little tongue sound as possible and think of the face being still and constant air exhalation. That's the key to a successful performance of the scales. Once you have mastered each scale, starting it with a long tone with no tongue noise and a steady pitch, the next step for you is to begin the first 4 notes of the scale in rhythm. 1 and a 2. To do that, check your embouchure and your fingers by slurring the first 4 notes of each scale. As you can imagine, I practiced that sequence dozens and dozens and hundreds of times over the years. Because if you can play cleanly slurred, you then realize that your air, your embouchure, your instrument, and your fingers are all doing what they should be doing. Only after doing this step should you go to the process of tonguing the notes in the ascending pattern. Now we'll look at tonguing the first 4 notes of the major scales. You've practiced the slurring. Now put as little tongue on the reed as possible, always practicing with a metronome so that you have 1 and a 2 in rhythm. Start by doing finger patterns. Next, practice playing while tonguing. The chromatic scale should be practiced both separately and then at the end of the 7-scale sequence. You already know if you've auditioned before, the chromatic scale is not hard in and of itself, but after playing G, C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, nerves pick up a little bit, chops get a little bit of wear on it, and it's easy to squawk the note or the note to not speak. It's important that you practice using this sequence. Long tone, slur the first 5 notes, then tongue the first 5 notes. The sequence for the chromatic scale then will sound like this. Now let's talk about tempo. The minimum tempo I've been performing on this video so far, quarter note 120. That's the minimum speed. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. If you're thinking about what tempo will it take to make all region and all state, my guess over the years I've been teaching is approximately 160 is going to be a good tempo to make the high chairs in all region band or first chair, depending on the players available. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, da, 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 da. If you're serious about making all-state, I've had 5 students make all-state, ATSSB. Their tempos for the performance at the area level audition have been this. Ba, da, 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 dee. That's 200 to the quarter note. That doesn't mean you must play 200, but that will give you an idea about the minimum tempo, 120, where to practice if you want to place first chair or close to it, 160, and then if you're making a serious run at all-state, 200. But ultimately, your performance tempo should be just a little bit less than the fastest you can play it without missing notes. Let's talk for a moment about building tone quality. Even though you're playing a scale, the judges will hear your tone at the end. Practice notes without vibrato until you feel comfortable just getting everything to speak on time with a metronome. Then practice with vibrato. Without. With. Keep in mind, at the end of your scale, all judges will hear the bottom note of the scale for 4 counts in your tempo. You definitely want it to be a pleasant sound as much as possible. Go out to Walmart, buy a cheap composition folder, and journal your scale progress day to day, week to week. Use 1 page for every week. And then, after a few weeks, look back and see your progress. For most people, they will not have to practice the G, C, F, B flat scales very much. The A flat, D flat, and chromatic are going to be most of your concentration. It's going to take most of your effort. They're difficult scales. They have awkward finger patterns and or start on low notes. Use the journal as a way to document your progress and to look back on with pride over your accomplishments throughout the fall preparation for the all-region auditions. It's my hope that this video has given you some assistance in mentally and physically preparing for the scale portion of the ATSSB all-region auditions. If I can be of further assistance to you, please contact me at the email or phone number given on this screen. Good luck.